call to order the regular meeting of the Tracy City Council for Monday, September 24th. Stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You gonna give the invocations?
I don't know if you're like the pastor that's going to do the
No.
invocation, or do we not have one today?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so, but, so we'll have approval of the minutes for September 10th meeting.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the agenda as it is written.
Just have the one addition for a resolution that, it was a pay-app that you already approved, but we got some differences in numbers from the engineers versus Reiner, so we just need to pass a new one for it.
Okay.
Motion to approve it as written.
I'll second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest for tonight? All right. Anybody from the public would like to talk about something that is not on the agenda?
Yeah, hello. My name's Eric Wallen. I am a candidate for sheriff here in Lyon County this year, so I would like to come and just speak to the council briefly about my qualifications and to see if you all have any questions, being you fall in Lyon County and some of our services do involve working with the Tracy Police and with the residents of Tracy. So just a brief background on me. I've been with the sheriff's office for 20 years. I went to Minneota High School, graduated there, and attended Alexandria Technical College to be a police officer. I got hired on with the sheriff's office. While in school, I worked in the jail part-time. And once I graduated, I was promoted to a deputy role, so I did patrol work for about 6 years. And then I was promoted to an investigator role for a couple years, and then after that, I was promoted to my current role as a sergeant. And for the last 10 years, I've been serving in that capacity. In our office, our current structure, the sergeant is second in command, basically behind the sheriff. There's two of us, myself and one other sergeant, who work opposites of each other. So when I'm on nights, he's on days, or vice versa. When I'm on days, he's on nights. And our job is to basically manage the day-to-day operations of the office. We do have some specific duties or tasks assigned to us specifically, but when we're working, we are responsible for what goes on the day-to-days. Some of my educational background is I went to Alex Tech, became a police officer, got the certificate for that. But when I was working, I wanted to kind of better myself, improve on that. So I went back to school to SMSU in Marshall. I got a bachelor's degree in law enforcement administration. And then when I became a sergeant, I was paying attention to the sheriff's role a little bit and understood that his job or her job's very much administrative in nature, a managerial position, not so much a hands-on police officer position. So I went back to SMSU again and got a Master's of Business Administration degree. I just graduated last spring with that. Just because I wanted to prepare myself. I knew someday, I didn't know when, but I knew the sheriff would be retiring eventually, and it was a position that I thought I'd want to pursue when the time came. So I figure I have plenty of practical experience. You know, I know the job inside and out from working in all the different roles there, but I wanted to make sure I also had a good educational background to support that with the emphasis in budgeting and finance and personnel issues, which make up the majority of the sheriff's job. You know, you need to know how to be a police officer. You need to know what the job consists of, because the people we have working for us are doing it. We need to make sure they're doing it correctly. But our day-to-days as the sheriff are very much more administrative than hands-on police work. Outside of the office, I'm a member of our Lions Club up in Marshall, and I'm a member of the Rotary Club in Marshall. I also serve on the board for the Marshall Area Baseball Association and volunteer coach for my son's team on that. And I'm also on the board of New Horizons Crisis Center, which is a victims advocacy group in Marshall. They provide advocacy services for people who are victims of crimes, and I'm just on the board of directors there as well. So, but that's a little about me in a nutshell. But do you guys have any questions that I can answer, or any concerns as far as the sheriff's office goes? No? Okay, well, if not, I appreciate you.
We're an easy crowd.
Yeah, very much so. So I appreciate that. But no, if not, there's an email on the back of the cards too. If you have something later, please shoot me an email. I'll get back to you fairly quickly and whatnot. So, but otherwise, I appreciate you giving me a couple minutes here.
Well, good luck. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have a good night.
Thanks.
Public hearing, department heads. Who wants to go first? He's talking. Val, do you want to go?
Okay, well, as you have seen from my report, we're in the midst of a staffing change. Rob's last day will be Friday of this week, and we started training our new employee on Friday of last week. So that's going well so far, and this seems to be our week for programs. We had a program this afternoon on 3D book ornaments, and then we have a living history presentation, Meet Laura Ingalls Wilder, on Saturday. And then next Tuesday, we have Joe Amato coming to talk about his new book. So I think that's about it. Does anyone have any questions?
Keep it up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Who is your new assistant? Laura? Lori?
We hired Lori Fox. She just retired from.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's great timing. So I'm excited. I feel like I'm going to learn more from
That
her
is so
than
cool.
she'll learn from us. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Thanks. Tammy, you want to go at your first try here?
Honorable Mayor and council members.
I need a drink.
Put that.
It's recorded. We got it. Yeah, I need that.
Something in my throat.
You won't get to hear that after we're done with this whole thing. So, since it's my first week anyways, August, as I have determined, was about the same as last year. We're up like $43.61. Since I started a week ago, we had an employee meeting that discussed what employees liked and didn't like and what they'd like to see changed and that kind of thing, just to get a feel for everybody and have them have a say-so on things. We started cleaning up the store, moving things around, re-signing merchandise, decorating for fall and Halloween. I communicated with Paul from MMBA. He got me in touch with Michael Friesen. Michael rearranged his schedule, and he will be meeting me at the regional meeting on October 18th in Marshall. He then will come down to Tracy Thursday afternoon and Friday morning, and we'll be going over some things. I've been reading the MMBA weekly newsletters, and in one of them they discussed an October promotion with Miller Lite and the animal shelter. I thought that'd be a great way to have the community involved with the liquor store kind of a thing, or show community pride anyways. So I contacted the beer companies, and we also contacted a member of TAR, Tracy Area Animal Shelter, who is excited to partner with us. We've added 2 new employees to our team, and they are working out quite nicely, and working on a new Facebook page, because it's free advertising for us. Anybody have any questions?
Well, keep up the good work there, Tamara. Jeff, does that mean you want to go next? You're just so excited?
Okay, I put a packet in front of everybody there, just going to give you a couple updates. The Broad Acres will be burnt down the 2 houses out there, so if anybody wants a blue house, they should get it very soon. Or a chicken coop, they should be picking that up quite soon out there. But I've been told by Dale that in the next 4 Mondays, it will be burnt down.
And you don't want the blue house anymore.
No one wants the blue house
You
anymore?
don't want the blue house anymore.
You don't?
No.
Oh, because, it's because
It's got
Chief Lichty went
skylights.
through it and
It's
it's
got
got
skylights.
skylights and stuff? Okay, so you don't want the blue house anymore. Just gonna give you a little bit of an update. We've got probably 25 surveys that came in here that went out to everybody in the community that's going along with that United Community Action, looking at writing that small cities grant. So there was 25 of them turned in here. So I really am hoping that 3 or 4 times as many went to, that used the self-addressed stamped envelopes and sent them to Marshall. But there was a lot of people that obviously trusted them because they didn't even use the envelope. They just put them in the box that we have in here. There was even one more of them today. So that's encouraging. I don't have any updates on it yet. Jeff Gladys is actually hunting elk out in Montana, so he won't be back until next week. And that's when I will, unless somebody else here can give us an update on any of the letters, cool. But maybe not.
No.
Next thing I got on for you, just for a little bit of update, I wanted to share with you, at the desk up here, you've all got a colored copy, but that is going to be our last Southwest Peach last page, or the final page, or the back page, I'm sorry. And that has each one of the real estate people here in town that put in a little money with it, and they're advertising a house, and then what the EDA is doing would be on the probably 2/3 of the page. So you can see that should be coming out in the next Southwest Peach. I felt that was a very good way of getting what we're trying to do here in Tracy with housing out into the, not just in the public around here, but the public all in Southwest Minnesota. Last couple things that I've got for you is just wanted, I know you were familiar with it and you've seen the signs up all over town, but the $5,000 business reward details and rules. We had put those together as an EDA at this last meeting, so they are attached there. Pretty simple rules on what you have to do to obtain the $5,000 from the EDA. And I can tell you that we've gotten 2 phone calls on that already. Nothing guaranteed, but a couple of people that actually asked about the program and asked what kind of businesses we're looking for. One out of Sioux Falls, and the other one actually was out of South Dakota also. So I think that's a good thing. And then the last thing that I got for you is something I'm going to be handing out in the public. I'm going to probably try to hand out about 100 of these, so each one of you at the table here got them. But it's just a little survey that I would like each one of you to fill out. And I know all of you got them, so I'm marking your name down, so until I get it back, your name's not off the list. Fill that out, please, and get it back to me. I feel that at least every couple of years, every 3 years, you need to go out and try to find out what the public is looking for and what, just what some of the ideas that the people that are living here and maybe even outside of town would like to see in the city of Tracy. That's all I got for tonight. Anything else I can do for you, Madam Mayor? Nothing else?
I have a list of things.
That's why he gave you that sheet of paper.
All right.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Taylor or Jason, you guys flip yourself a...
Yeah.
I'll entertain any questions you might have about the activity report that I turned in. Other than that, I don't have much for you. And so, 2019 squad's been ordered. A couple of the big ticket items that go into it that take a couple months to get have been ordered, just so that they're at the installers by the time the car gets there, so we don't have to have that hold him up and get busy. I haven't got his bid yet for doing the installment, but last 3 squads we've set up has been with enforcement lighting, and they did a good job on the last 3, so I would recommend we go with them again. So waiting for his bid though.
Do you have any questions for Jason? No? Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
We got our training grant this year. Last year we were given $102 a fireman. This year we got $205 per fireman for training, 100% free. We do the training, they send us the bill. We fill out a form, send it in. Some of the trainings they just reimburse the city electronically, some of them they pay direct. So 28 firemen, $200 a fireman. Pretty good deal. A little bit of paperwork involved in that, but it seems to be paying off. So that is in the, actually we have already been awarded that. With some of that money this year, the Merit Center in Marshall, if some of you have probably heard of the Merit Center, the building, this big, nice concrete training facility they put up on the northwest corner of Marshall, has a fire tower and stuff. They've done some trainings at it. Recently they hired a new director. She is actively pursuing bringing the trainings that happened at a lot of the chiefs conferences and the fire schools in Duluth and Alexandria and the cities. She's trying to bring them trainings to Marshall. City like us, we can not have to be paying for hotels and stuff, and our guys can still get the benefit of these trainings. She has one coming up here in October. First 5 minutes, it's a leadership training course. I believe at this time I have 7 guys going at $75 a person versus paying $180 for them to go to a weekend course and then paying for a hotel. So that's going to be really big. Actually just got the email today. She's doing a pump operator course up there for $65. Send a fireman up. They bring in a full simulator trailer so that if you screw up, you're not messing up a $500,000 fire truck. And they spend a whole day teaching people how to operate a pump and certify them in running a pump. So we will be taking advantage of that as well with some of our grant money. Other things going on in training, Jeff has been so kind as to let us play with the houses that they're going to tear down. And in doing so, we've been working with the fire marshal's office, and all the permits have been placed for us to burn them down. We're still waiting on clearance on one of the permits. The other 3 we have. And the fire marshal's office, if we can get it put together in the time frame that we'd like the houses burnt down, is actually going to save us the $1,750 cost of having a training school come down. And they're going to send 2 fire marshals who are instructors down. They're going to go in and light different fires. We're going to show up and put them out like we normally would, and then we're going to go through the whole investigation process and figure out charring marks and pour patterns. And so we'll actually be doing a second level arson investigation training, and then when we're all done training, we'll burn the houses down. So that'll be at 0 cost to the city, having the fire marshal's office do it for us. And it'll be a wonderful training for the guys. We lost a member last Monday and gained a member last Monday. A new member that had joined bought a house in another community. Person who bought his house, that guy, they turned around, literally they swapped houses, and that guy was already a trained fireman, so he joined our fire department that night. So we're still full staffed. Actually, I was told today I have another application coming, so we have a waiting list of 1, or we will have a waiting list of 1. Fire prevention's around the corner in 2 weeks here, working with the schools, getting the schedule set up. This year we're doing something a little bit different, doing a training video on the day in the life of a volunteer fireman. Working with Adam Hansen's using the camera that the city purchased, and Jason's been letting us use the body cameras that the police department has, and we did different things of, people being at work, people being at home in bed, the pager going off, them getting up, responding to the fire hall, running in the fire hall, guys getting their gear all on, getting in the trucks. We actually last Monday night smoked up one of the 2 houses of the EDAs out there, and Adam recorded everybody pulling up. A few of the firemen had the police department's body cameras on, went through the house, rescued somebody, pulled them out, just seeing the whole, couldn't see anything. It was so smoky. One of the firemen had a body camera on and was holding a thermal camera when they were doing the search and rescue, so you could actually see what he was seeing through the thermal camera. I really think this is going to be a super cool video for the kids, and actually we'll be probably playing it over and over at our chili feed, so feel free to come down for supper and watch the video of what it's like to be a volunteer fireman.
I think that's a cool idea.
So, lot of thought gone into this, a lot of work gone into it, a lot of time, and there's going to be a lot of time in editing, and I mean there's a lot of footage. What'd you have on the body cameras? 30 minutes each?
Yeah, about 90 minutes for the body camera for the...
From putting your gear on and trying to get in the truck, and the guy across from you putting on air packs, and it should be really good. So
what ages will see this?
at the Catholic school, so here's how fire prevention works. On Wednesday, all preschool and kindergarten come to the fire hall for a tour. We got one person who speaks, somebody puts on gear, we take them through all the trucks, they take pictures by the fire trucks. On Thursday, we do the presentations at the school, and St. Mary's, we do the whole school. At the elementary school, it is 1st through 5th grade that we do. So we pretty much cover the elementary level. And then we do random fire drills throughout the week with the schools and different stuff like that.
So you said 90 minutes, but how long will
The video will actually only be probably 18. We're shooting for 15 to 18 minutes, 20 minutes max. I mean, 20 minutes would be a lot for you to be focused on watching it.
Not if you're in there, Dale, that would be just
See, I'm not.
stimulating.
But just thinking that, with a lot of, and actually we'll probably do 2 videos. The main video, we'll try to stick to 15, 18 minutes just to keep people's attention. And then we'll probably have a bunch of clips on the end of different stuff that didn't make it in the video, but just different cool clips that were there, that were in it.
Bloopers?
Bloopers. No, there's never any bloopers. Hey, you train enough, you're so good you don't make mistakes. Damaged property update. I have not heard from anyone since they were submitted anything of the letters that we sent out, other than the ones we reported on. But the last ones we did the resolutions on, I have not heard anything. Unfortunately, I guess we'll let that lay in the hands of the city attorney now. Equipment from the flood. The damaged hose that we had, and hoses that got melted when they got too close to pumps and everything, all that stuff is here. All of it's been put on the trucks. Everything's back and serviced. The boots that we could not get clean that had sewage in them actually got delivered today. Correct?
There's a box there by the door that showed up.
A pallet. They got delivered today. They were supposed to get delivered to the city shop today. The radios the portable radios that were all damaged are all here and in service. Very, very nice radios. The first pumper is ordered. The 2 grass rigs, we did get them purchased locally in town. Actually, we were under budget from what was presented to us by the truck manufacturer in Hyman, so we got them in town and we got them cheaper by doing it that way. They are now out at Hyman getting the skid units and all the emergency lighting and stuff put on them. Hoping to get one of them here at the end of next week. The other one will probably be a week or 2 behind it. We did end up buying 1-ton dually chassis. We were hoping to get single rear wheel chassis. Ran into a whole fiasco trying to find red trucks versus different colored trucks, what it would cost to paint the trucks, to make them red. So we didn't have a purple one and a yellow one, and ended up finding these 2 dually pickups. One of them was 4 miles from Tony's sister. She sent her husband over to the dealership, drove it up here for us. So, I mean, the whole thing just ultimately fell together. The only downside was we ended up with dual rear wheels. They don't work in driving off-road and driving in wet grass and in cornfields. There is a super single kit to make the 2 tires into 1. We got a couple quotes on them. $16,000. Found a couple other companies that were out there that were in that $9,000-$10,000 range. We were able to work with a private vendor and work with Solomons at finding the super singles and the tires. We don't have the final price yet, but it'll be drastically less than any of them other companies. So the pickups are pretty much a done deal. We just haven't taken possession of them yet. The second pumper is in the final stages. We met out there. We got the final drawing and the final set of specs, a book about that thick with every detail in it. We're combing through that. Hopefully next Monday we'll be done with that and we'll sign the purchase agreement on that. Going back to the first pumper, we saved 27.6, did I tell you? By that Sourcewell option.
Yeah, something like
And we
that.
saved all the bidding process and everything by using that Sourcewell bidding option that the city has. So was a great savings to the community and made a lot less work for us. So that worked really well. We're doing that as well with the second pumper. The grass rigs don't fall in that category because they're not a big enough, high enough dollar amount in the fire world. So, and we're still tidying up some of the insurance stuff. Chris and I are working on some insurance stuff with Tim Keefe with the insurance company, just getting the rest of everything that we've gotten, the invoices to him, and actually we've got him the invoices, we're just making sure that everything's been paid for. So, anybody have any questions?
Sounds like you've been busy.
Yeah, good job.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Thanks.
Chris, I'm sorry, I should have had you go so you could have gotten out of here.
Oh, let me go now.
Yeah.
So both of my items are in the resolutions section, item C and D. C is pay app number 7 from Reiner for the pond project for $326,730.27. We've had a lot of rain out there again last week. They're working when they can. There will be an extension request coming. They'll have to provide all the documentation and everything of all the rain days and how much time they lost, but it's not likely that the whole pond system won't be online before the end of the year. We'll work with MPCA. It's possible that one of the cells might be able to receive some wastewater, but we'll need cooperation for the rest of the year too. So they'll be submitting a request. They've been hinting at it, for a while, but well, submit something and we'll look at it. But obviously we've gotten a lot of rain this year. And then D is just correcting the amount that was in the resolution last time to $471,455.75. What was approved last time was $487 and change. So, any questions on either of those items or anything else?
No.
All right.
Thank you. Jane, you have anything you want to say?
I suppose. So pretty much we've been pumping water and then repairing roads after it rains, so pretty much for the last month. So I guess I kind of left a report here for you on the highlights of the month. Did some culvert work at Swift Lake. We're just about finished with that. We got it in just before the rain, but we got some riprap to put on that yet, so it doesn't wash out again. I guess I do. I guess first I'll ask if you have any questions on what you have in front of you. Then I'll move on to a common question that's been asked with this rain. The question is if the sewer system has any deficiencies in it with phase 1. The answer to that is no. The question's asked, why are we pumping now? Well, the reason for that, and Chris can maybe throw some highlights in too on this, if I miss something, but MPCA now, with the new pond system, they are not allowing us to gravity bypass. In the past, we've bypassed into the storm sewer with a gated structure. No longer are we able to do that with phase one now, just about to the end. So since last year, everything has to be pumped. It's the only way we can bypass now with our permit. And that's pretty consistent with other cities too, unless they had situations like we did have. But right now, the reason, and I'm sure a lot of homeowners are guilty of it, sump pumps running into the sanitary sewer. It may not seem like a lot. We take that times 900 some houses. That's where we're having our problems. That and footing drains and old pipes. So I guess you just be aware, you know what you're doing, and just discharge outside, or if you have a sump pump interceptor, you know, connect into that. It's actually required by ordinance now as of last fall. And when the notice comes out in November, at that point, if you do need to connect to the sanitary, if you do not have the infrastructure available, you can then discharge into the sanitary during the winter months. So there was a lot of clear water, crystal clear, as in we could see 3 feet down through it. Hardly any sewage in it. So I mean, it's a clear water issue, not sewage, I guess, alone. But I don't know, Chris, do you have anything else as far as flows and capacities from?
Yeah, and I mean, just anecdotally, you're bypassing a lot less than you would have been. It's just that now you're seeing people out there with pumps and generators and everything, so it's more noticeable. Before, they just go open a gate and no one really knew what was going on. So bypassing is a lot less. The rainfalls this year, I forget what you told me, was it 4 inches like in an hour or so on late last week? And
Labor Day weekend for sure.
Oh, that was Labor Day weekend, right?
This last one we got, you know, over 6 inches during the week, last week, with that. So we were running at probably 3/4 capacity, and then once we get that last blast of 2 or 3 inches,
Right.
it shot us right over.
Right, so it's these, you know, related to climate change, I suppose, but a lot of the rains that where this is being experienced, it's the peak. It's when they're really intense, maybe not real long. So the same amount of rain in an hour versus over the course of a day has a totally different impact on the sewer system, because the sewers they're sensitive to what the peak, the highest flow is, and that's when it gets backed up. Yeah, I mean, keep working through it, keep staying on homeowners. One thing actually with phase 3 is we're trying to, again, go ahead and televise, ahead of the project I should say, and televise private services, because that'll tell us not only where some of them are, because like we're running into a few like we did in phase 1 where there's shared services, someone's services going under their neighbor's house, you know, weird stuff like that. But that's also when we can identify the footing drain connections, the services that are in poor condition, and the earlier we can identify that, the sooner we can give property owners heads up and try to coordinate the repairs that they need to make to be in compliance with ordinance. Otherwise, if we're not able to get that videoed ahead of time, then we basically have to do it during construction, and then they get a notice, you know, and if they want to try to coordinate with the contractor that's out on site, they've only have sometimes in a few weeks to try to coordinate something where we're trying to do it a year ahead of time. So we've sent out notices trying to get people to make appointments with Empire Pipe. Empire's had a tough time getting a hold of people and getting people to call them back, so I'd encourage anyone that's received those letters to get in contact with Empire. Their contact information was on those newsletters. So yeah, otherwise in areas outside of phase 3, just staying on the sump pump inspection program. I know anytime you have a reason to be in the house, you know, Public Works to install a meter or whatever other reason, those things are being checked. But yeah.
So the people that are getting those letters, they're just putting off the inevitable. It's going to be found out if they're
Yes.
doing it.
Yep.
no
So-
matter what. So to put
Right.
it off is not helping them.
Correct, right. Because it's not like, if we found, televised your service next week. It's not like, you will get a letter relatively soon, so you know, but it's not like you're going to be required to repair it by the end of this year. We're still giving people that year so they can coordinate with the contractor. Whoever the contractor ends up being on the city project, they may, depends on if you have a plumbing license or not and so forth, but they may just be able to work something out with that contractor. And instead of stopping at the right-of-way line, they'll go all the way up to the house. But otherwise, there's just other coordination that's a lot easier if you know further in advance. So yeah, if what we did actually on this Morgan and 4th Street project, which was a little bit of a learning experience, is we didn't televise it ahead of time. We televised it during construction. That was part of the contractor's bid, and then we could issue things. Well, so they may televise it, but then depending on how the project was phased by the contractor, their work plan for sequencing, they may have only had a week between when they hooked up your service and televised it and when they want to start putting sidewalk in. Well, if you need to be doing work, they don't want you to tear right into the new sidewalk they just put in, so trying to give people more time to coordinate that be better, so.
And this televising is actually identifying some more of the freshwater infiltration into the sewer system for bad piping.
Yeah, bad piping, and another thing that's hard to identify just by going in the basement is the footing tiles that are tied right in. So that also. Give people more time to plan, and I believe the city has the financing program, or am I stepping out of it? There wasn't for that?
No, they have the option to have it on the special assessment.
That's right, yes, yeah, to be assessed for, yeah. Which is effectively kind of like financing it.
Maybe not be the place for the question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Have we contacted the railroad and see what they can do about mitigating some of the runoff on that property that comes down 5th Street?
Yeah, we met with them last summer, and they said they'd tried cutting in a swale, or kind of they called it a berm.
Yeah.
And we never really saw any activity on that. We're looking at some storage options as well to try to do some sort of ponding, either there or elsewhere in the system to retain it, and then let it into the storm system slower. But yeah, that is.
If you haven't been in town during one of those events, I encourage you to try and make the next one.
Yeah.
And stand on 5th Street and watch it come down.
Well, I've
down
seen
off that property.
I think a couple years ago there was one that you happened to get video of that went right by the storage units there.
That's bad.
Yeah.
And if it's been over a year since we contacted I think we need to contact them again. That would alleviate a lot of the problems. Well, a big problem for us anyway.
Yeah, they were, I'll say, pretty dismissive that they created a new problem, but yeah, I mean, that's not.
And I don't want to pay their engineering fees, but wouldn't it be possible for them just to tile that and go back to that ditch? I mean, doesn't it slopes that way anyway?
I don't believe there is fall that direction. Verify that.
Are you talking about across
That
from the
county
vet
ditch?
Oh, the big county ditch?
Yeah.
Well, if there isn't fall, we could put it in with the drain tile, couldn't we, or something, I
mean,
suppose.
to tile it over that way, and you could get the fall, because it does slope, there's not enough for a natural runoff, no, but
Right.
and they used to have, before the Star Creek 99 problem, they used to have some sewer lines on that property that
was their storm outlet, basically.
it was a storm outlet,
Yeah.
and that was going into our sanitary, got into cover living, and just made a bigger mess over there, but that's.
Right. And even with I think some sort of storage would be prudent anyway, because even if you tile it, that tile will reach.
Yeah, it'll reach capacity.
It'll reach capacity, yep. So.
Just rattle a cage again, that's all I'm advocating.
Anything else want me to touch on, Shane? Or?
No, I was just gonna kind of tell them what the flows did here. So at 12 a.m. on would have been Friday morning, we were flowing 4.56 million gallons per day. By Friday, let's see, Saturday morning at midnight, we were down to 1.062 million gallons per day. So it's four times the sewage flow from that rain event. And prior to the storm, we were at 0.456 million gallons per day. And that's kind of where we run. It's still more than what we pump out of the water plant. You know, in theory, it should be, what we pump should be less going into the sewer than what we pump, but never seems to work that way. But you have lawn watering and everything else, so that kind of puts it in perspective, you know, what kind of problem we have. And it comes fast. So, if you have any questions on that?
I know people appreciate it, at least the pumps being out there trying to.
And a lot of times we'll bring the pumps if we have a suspicion, because then we can fire the first one up and run grab the other ones, you know, depending on what areas get hit the hardest. But and we did start pumping with one pump, was keeping up fine. We got that last blast on Thursday afternoon, later afternoon, and it just threw the numbers off the chart. That's when we had the 1116 out there, the other military pump, and 2 3-inch trash pumps, and we were maintaining at best. So, and we did get, sounds like we got another 4-inch pump coming through from DNR.
I'll just, not that, I don't really know anything about their system, but, you know, Ballatin was also pumping, so it's not like it's something wrong with Tracy's system. A rain like that, most cities would be bypassing. Yeah.
Ballatin's pump's been set up all year.
Yeah.
Has it? Yeah. They have a very nice chain link fence around it now. And it's, if you're ever in Ballatin, Highway 14 and County Road 5, on the northwest corner of the intersection, there is a massive pump sitting there, and the hose lays all the way uphill because they pump it uphill across the road into a ditch. And that pump's been there all summer long. And it's never been there before that I've ever noticed.
So we have how many pumps without using any more fire department ones? Because I don't want to buy Gail any more fire equipment.
We used one Friday or Thursday.
It was already done, so we just finished it up.
Okay. I just quiver when I hear the fire department.
We'll have 3 military pumps. Right now we have 2. We got, I guess, the okay to...
Actually, I should probably ask for the okay tonight.
Oh, okay.
I had to open my mouth.
Now just to get
I'd say now,
the DNR surplus where we got the first 2 pumps and where we got that shared tanker that we got with us in Public Works from, they actually received 3 more of the 4-inch pumps. They are the diesel motor trailer mounted ones that you see sitting in the middle of intersections. They purchased them for approximately $12,000, and then they go through them completely and rebuild everything. And then through a grant program, they'll turn around, and it was the number $500 and the number $750 got thrown out. So I was supposed to get the paperwork on that today, and it never came. So I'm assuming it's going to be $500. The worst case would be $750. We can have the pump. The pump is sitting in Willow River. Cottonwood Fire is actually getting 2 of them pumps because they've actually used ours before when we didn't need them and they did. They're actually getting 2 of those pumps, and they're sending somebody up to get it, and they're actually going to transport ours back for us, the way it sounds. So that's obviously not in my capital improvements budget, but with your permission, we'd like to buy another pump.
For up to $750.
I'm comfortable at saying 500.
We'll take it out of the sewer fund if we have to. It'll be money well spent.
So you need a motion for that?
I don't.
Since it's,
Please.
okay. I'll make a motion that, I can't believe I'm doing this, but that we let the or we approve that the fire department purchase an additional pump for up to $750.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So I was thinking about a new fire station.
You better sit down.
That's a really good deal, because if you look at a 3-inch trash pump, you're gonna pay $2,200 for, and here you're getting a 4-inch for, you know, it's pennies on the dollar as far as, you know, it's well worth having, as
Yeah,
long as you can
definitely.
store them, yes, sir.
And they come fully serviced.
Yeah.
The last two we got, I mean, you flipped them on, started them, and they worked. Problem with this one, it doesn't come with any hose. We're gonna have some expense in some hose, suction hose, but very, very minor. That's all I have.
We need them. On my report, you see, just multiple meetings and such. I did meet with the auditors, got some interesting perspective from them on some things and some division of duties and such. Couple EDA meetings. We did hire a new finance clerk. Peggy Zwak is gonna be the new finance clerk. So we conducted review of applicants and interviews. We also hired, as you saw earlier, a new liquor store manager, Tamara Schoens, and Jan Arvizu also as a liquor store clerk. Shane and myself went to some airport training up in Brainerd on Thursday of last week. That was actually really good and eye-opening for some of the stuff that's out there, and a lot of really good information on ideal times to apply for certain things budgetary wise. We went with Bolig's engineer, Angela Holm, and it was definitely worth our time. Last Friday we had the land closing on the dump road. We did purchase the dump road last Friday. I've actually got something for you to sign. And I had 2 staff members go to Minlar's training. Budget preparation, that's up and coming. On your agenda, the Minlar's flood. We've got work going on for both individuals and the public assistance. Public assistance portion should start October 12th. FEMA will be in town and we'll be going over some things. They'll give us guidelines and perimeters of what they want us to, what's eligible and what's not eligible. We had a pretty good grasp going into it, researching before we even started tracking anything. We're pretty confident on the items that we spent and what we should hopefully see back on a lot of it. We did receive $121,000 in insurance proceeds already. That was mostly for fire equipment damage, public works trucks, and some equipment with the radios and such. The radios alone were $64,000 in damages, and that's actually pretty, you hate to say that it's fortunate, but those radios would have been due for replacement because of their phase out in the next 5 years or so. So that was a cost that the city was going to have regardless. So if the flood did one thing for us, it got us new radios. Upcoming items, we have some crisis management training coming up, League of Minnesota Cities regional meeting, and the FEMA public assistance briefing. Any questions?
No, thank you. So we will move on to the petitions. We'll set 2019 levy and truth and taxation date for December 10th.
So as you see, you have the proposed resolution 2018-51 for the proposed levy. That is an increase of $23,022 from last year for the proposed portion of it. Keep in mind, this is the first portion that we asked. The county makes us set it ahead of time. It's not going to be this is at 10.99%. It won't be anywhere near that. But per recommendation of the auditors and predecessors in this role before me, you always set it a little high and then you work your way down, because if you don't and something happens, you can run into some trouble. Over the next couple months, we'll be using our debt service is coming up, some of our bond stuff, things like that, and some of our last quarter stuff to move some money around and such and come up with our final numbers. So the budget's on track.
Okay, sounds good. Do you want to do the resolution as long as we're talking about
If
that?
you would, yeah, that'd be great.
Make a motion then to approve resolution number 2018-51 from the proposed budget.
I'll second that.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do you want to talk about the chamber request for the assistance for the?
Do we have to still set that date?
We have to set the truth and taxation date.
Oh, I thought we did for December 10th.
It wasn't.
think we made a
It wasn't part of that.
I make a motion to set the truth and taxation date for the 10th of December at 6:45 and a snow date of the 17th.
Bite your tongue. I'll second that, though.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now, do you want to talk about the chamber?
So the chamber has asked for funding for they had an electric bill. They had to do some change of service at property at 250 South 4th Street to put in temporary electrical unit. This was something for their the carnival workers that show up. I couldn't find anything historically where we have paid that in the past, and in a roundabout way.
I don't remember us ever, because to me, it's part of the chamber function. To me, it should be one of their expenses that they pay. Otherwise, I'm gonna start forwarding my electric bill to the city and see if I can get any of that paid too.
Well, and I don't think it's a justifiable expense because it doesn't meet the I don't know, the level that it's supposed to be of a benefit to the community. This particular expense would benefit the people who use the electricity and the people who set up the bill, not the citizens. So I don't think it's a legal expense.
So do we want to take a,
Do we need to make a motion
A
of some
motion
type that we
to
deny
we deny
payment
it,
or?
or?
If you
Don't,
make a
or-
motion to decline it, then I'll send a letter as such.
I'll make a motion that we decline paying the electrical payment requested by the chamber.
I'll second it.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2018-51, appointing the election judges for the general election for November 6th of 2018.
Any questions about?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2018-52 to appoint the election judges for the general election.
Second it.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the resolution for Reiner Contracting, Resolution 2018-51, approving pay estimate number 7.
This is let's see, let me correct. Yep, this is the new one. This is for work that's been completed on the stabilization funds. It's in the amount of $326,730.27. And that work has been verified by both the engineer Shane and myself.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-53 for pay order number 7.
Second that.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, do we want to do the one for last pay estimate, which is 2018-54, amending the resolution of 2018-44 for pay estimate number 6?
This was just a difference in numbers from the contractor to the engineer. The engineer found something that they weren't happy with on the number-wise, made the corrections. Chris caught something, one or another. It actually lowered it by quite a, I think it was $8,000 or so. But since the number has changed, and it's 471,000, I think.
16,000. Went from 487 to 471.
Okay, so 16,000. Since the number was so high, I figured we should present it to you. I just felt more comfortable with that.
Went in the right direction.
It went in the right direction. Bragging about it, I guess.
Okay. I'll make that motion then to approve resolution 2018-54, the amended from the -44. And do you need the dollar amounts or can you get that? Okay.
Second that.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dave, you want to do your usual?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the municipal accounts payable without Breakthrough Beverage and the municipal accounts receivable report. Second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would somebody like to do the consent calendar with Breakthrough Beverage in it?
I'd make that motion.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Oops, I can't.
Motion carries. Do we have any unfinished business that anybody knows? Any new business? Any mayor council communication?
Got a question. I think would fall underneath that. And Chris brought it up tonight with the intercept lines and the sump pumps, and Morgan Street's been done now for a couple of years, and I drive up and down it every day. We've got 4 properties that are still running sumps into the gutter. Have those property owners been contacted about hooking to the interceptors, or?
They are on my radar. I just kind of noticed the one on the corner of Fifth and Morgan showed up here in the last 3 weeks. And the other one, we couldn't find the connection on the south side of the road. But I believe Andy knows where it's at now. They actually shot a camera up it.
Okay.
So we know where that connection is now, so.
Then I noticed down here too, coming across the alley, just right across from the multi-purpose center, behind, there's a stream of water running down there. Is that a sump discharge, or?
That's from the multi-purpose center.
No, it's on
No.
the south side of the Morgan.
That's the one, that's coming out of that salon spa,
Yeah.
the pet grooming. I wonder if
That
that's,
drain, is it drain in the alley?
maybe the drain's plugged or something, because it's coming right out to the street.
Yeah, that's
I
what,
saw that too.
it seems like instead of them getting fixed, they're growing. That's the only
Yeah.
reason I brought it up, so
I'll have to,
it,
That's one I should look at, because it looks like it might have chemicals in it. I don't know what it is, if it's a discharge of any sort or not. It might just look that way, but
yeah,
probably something we should look
it
at.
just- something to look at. That's all I had.
will do.
Okay, so I have something, and when I was been in contact with Paul from Lutheran Social Services, and I think we touched on this last time about office space. Where did we, do you remember?
If we
Don't
can
have
provide
it.
them with an office space, I haven't gotten a request for one, and in multiple meetings, both myself and Chief Lichty have offered them space if they need it. We'll find somewhere for them.
Okay, well then I might as well just tell Paul to talk to you then.
Yep. Yeah, and that stuff gets twisted around in those organizations. One person will ask you, you say sure, just let me know when you need it, and then 3 other people ask for it. So yeah, anybody that needs it, just let them know.
Because they said they hired somebody.
Yep, and they're gonna that's gonna be the caseworker that'll be going around and helping to guide people in the right direction for certain things. Yeah, and as long as we're still on TV here, we should put out that the SBA process only runs in, I believe it's the 28th, is it the 28th, Jeff, I think?
Friday.
Friday is the last day.
28th.
29th. So, need to get in front of it. If people haven't yet, all they gotta do is call that 800 number and start the process. If they do that, that will get it started at least.
And that's for the folks that had damage from the flood.
Damage from the flood, correct. At any level, at any income level, even if they don't think they could ever get a loan, that's where they need to start.
If you had 2 inches in your basement and you want a loan for a new roof, you could work that out or not?
That's between them and SBA. I only hand out the number.
Okay, then we have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
First and second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.